I'm James DeBacco.
I'm Martin Leva.
And I'm Susie Hess. Our Stories Matter podcast was born out of a need for a brave space for people who experience the criminal punishment system to share their truths. This is Our Stories Matter, brought to you by Trauma Informed LA. Our Stories Matter celebrates the complex lived experiences of activists and healers by sharing their inspiring stories. In Season 4 of Our Stories Matter, we will focus on two organizations that are dismantling the 46,000 collateral consequences, Homeboy Industries and Forestry and Fire Recruitment Program.
So on today's episode, we'll hear from Tyler Lord of Forestry and Fire Recruitment Program. Coming home from a 32 to life sentence, Tyler has utilized the alcohol and drug counseling skills he learned while incarcerated to help those struggling with addiction. He is currently a residential advisor on the weekends and enrolled in FFRP's career training program for wildland firefighting. His past record originally prevented him from pursuing his dream to become a firefighter, but new California legislation and reentry programs like FFRP have given him hope. His dream will soon become a reality as he graduates in April of this year. He looks forward to being independent and making his family proud. So, welcome, Tyler.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about how you became involved with FFRP?
Man, it was a road. It was a road. Seeing people go to fire camp while incarcerated and not being eligible, that really was kind of the first part of seeing what it was all about. And I wanted to just be a regular firefighter, and my record prevented me. I applied, and then they told me even if you did get like a reasonable accommodation, maybe being off parole, the waiting list for being a municipal firefighter in my area in Ventura was going to be a 2 to 3 year wait. And I'm like, there's got to be something else. So I go and start to call around. A friend of a friend told me about a place in Camarillo that was for wildland firefighting, which I didn't know what wildland firefighting was all about. And they said, well, if you didn't go to camp in prison, you don't fit the criteria. And they said, hey, there is an organization called FFRP, and they gave me the link to it. I went, applied immediately, and Sharice Johnson reached out to me, told me, well, we're waiting for another cohort. You're going to have to get these certifications. You can do them online. I started the process. They said, reach out to Captain Hudson. Immediately I did.
Matt Hudson?
Matt Hudson.
Oh, we're interviewing him next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Such a powerful, amazing man that, takes time out of his busy schedule and goes and helps anybody that is trying to make a better life for themselves, especially when it comes to fire. PTs with anybody that wants to PT, hikes with anybody that wants to hike, and does it in full uniform with a saw. This guy is a beast.
Oh my God.
This guy, he is like, I call him like the King Sawyer. So a Sawyer is the guy that does the saw in wildland firefighting, and he took me to the Rose Bowl and whooped my butt.
Whoa.
He leaves everybody in the dust, and he's older than everybody else. So we go on a run at the Rose Bowl, and that was my introduction to fire. And I said, I'm still in. That just because I'm last doesn't mean I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. So, I stuck with it. I asked him, I was like, how can I get involved sooner? Is there anything I can do? So they wanted to take me on a hike, full uniformed up, full packed up.
And when you say full packed up, like how much weight is that?
It's at least 45 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's a pack with all of your gear, all the necessities, a fire shelter, the water, your tool. And at the time they gave me a Domar, which for all those, Domar is a falling axe with a gas tank hooked onto it. That weighs 15 plus pounds. So you're looking at anywhere from 50 to 60 pounds with like gear.
Wow.
Tool. They took me to their highest, steepest hike they have. It's called Mother B. To this day, it's still my arch nemesis. But I went back and conquered it after not getting very far and dying on the side of the hill.
I wonder why they call it Mother B.
Well, because it is the mother of all the little trails they have that just it's a whoop ass of a trail. And they thought that was going to be it. Let's give them a taste of this thing called wildland firefighting. And that was just, the first failure. In life, you have to fail.
Yeah.
And I've learned throughout my life, fail big. If you're going to fail, let's fail big. So falling on the side of the mountain, Captain Van, like, do you even PT? Do you, I'm like, yeah, but this is different.
Wait, what's PT?
Physical training.
Oh, so he's saying, have you ever even done physical training that you're falling off the mountain?
This was another captain, Captain Van. She's female, amazing captain, and that's one of my training instructors at FFRP. You had Superintendent Hudson with me, a lot of their Type 2 hand crew, Buffalo crew members, and they're kind of like. There was a couple guys like myself that were trying to enter into the world or get back into it from camp. And they looked at me like, you're not in the right place. And I said, I'll be back. I'll be back. I realized I need to put in a lot more work. And I did. It's one of those things you have to put in the work on your own time every day. There's something that can be done, whether it be studying. You have an IRPG, which is like your survival manual. Just to this day, you keep it on your right side like a Bible. It's just your lifeline if anything goes bad.
Yeah.
So, that was my introduction to FFRP. Was just what I needed to let me know this is no joke. It might kick your butt, but you're going to like it.
When did you ever feel like giving up, and what was your motivation to keep going? Because that little story right there resonates with young men that I take out hiking and they just want to give up, and then it's like you've been through worst already. So how is this difficult? What was your motivation to keep going?
I needed something better in my life. The reason that I transitioned from being more of a residential advisor / drug counselor and, a very small part-time actor was I needed something that I could be proud of. And I wasn't even proud of the work I was doing with clients, with helping them stay sober. I really needed something that I could be proud of. Having a uniform, they call it earning your colors. By doing that, you have to break your back. You have to break your back. You have to be willing to sacrifice everything. And for me, that showed me that there was something better through this way in life. And now, it's just like I live for it. I do. Mm-hmm. And I know it's positive. I know it's powerful. And I know it's going to do something, even the small impact that you do, it affects a much greater whole. And that's what I'm living for right now.
As you sit here today, Tyler, you remind me of a movie star, right? You got the look of, a surfer, you know what I mean? From Malibu, and you're fit, you're healthy looking, so, and you talk about you dabbled around in movies or you dabbled around in film.
I did.
Talk about that. What was that about?
And I got the bug in prison. I got the bug in prison. I started doing plays, did Hamlet. I played Horatio, which is the last guy living. And there was drama. There was college courses. I took, Shakespeare and started learning acting in prison. There was Tim Robbins has an actors gang. I joined that. And that's Commedia dell'arte is your 4 states of emotion: happy, mad, sad, angry, and it's the maximum amount of emotion. So learning that and feeling like that was going to be my trade in life, getting out, getting the headshots, starting, applying for auditions, no agent, doing it all on my own. But the people that I was working for, they didn't seem to be my kind of crowd. I loved dissolving into a character. That was fun, but I wasn't proud of it. I was laughing at myself. I wasn't like, this isn't something I like. I don't feel honorable about it. It doesn't make me feel like I'm doing something that's going to impact the world for the better. Nice. I might make people laugh, and I might look goofy and do funny faces, but it didn't give me that will that I'm gonna help somebody else. And that, that's maybe why I dabbled more into doing the treatment centers and helping, the recovering addicts, because I was a recovering addict. I'm still a recovering addict, once an addict, always an addict, 16 plus years clean and sober. Yeah, very thankful.
Oh, congratulations.
Amazing.
And it's all,
that's like
by the grace of God.
That's a purpose right there.
Yeah. Really is. I still love helping clients, helping, people that are trying to make a better life for themselves. I've dealt with every type of walk of life, that are trying to get their self clean and sober, from kids to grown adults to professionals to, people that have everything or don't have anything.
Yeah.
There's no discrimination with addiction. Yeah. So for me, that's why I still love it, but it's not something I get the type of strength that I do from what I do now with the wildland firefighting. And one step closer, I'm about to go take my my photo and my fingerprint for my badge and this is something that I'm proud of. When I tell people that, they are like, "Oh my God, thank you for your service." And I'm just like, I would do this for free.
Wow.
This is the most fun I've ever had in my life. I feel like a Boy Scout, being able to just adventure and do things with other like-minded people. Yeah. My crew members, amazing men. They are amazing.
I'm curious, you talked about drug and alcohol counseling, right?
Yeah.
And then transitioning into FFRP, and that's your passion.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about your thoughts about employment, because it sounds like you weren't able to go directly into fire because you weren't in the camps, and you weren't in the camps because you weren't eligible when you were inside. Is that right?
Yeah, I was a lifer. Looking at other guys go to camp that were on a level 1, I made it all the way down to a level 2. You get a hard 19, which is the lowest you can get as a lifer. Your points could be 0, but they keep you on a level 2. You can't be on a minimum security yard. Mm-hmm. My offense was violent. They have to be low-level offenses because obviously they're going to take you out in society and leave you there. And anybody can, run away. It's really not well secured. So there's a huge trust thing. So anybody with a life sentence, they think, oh, these guys might be a risk.
Right. And we talked about this with Brandon the last time we were here. And James was like, wait, so I wouldn't be eligible to be in the camps, but you would be eligible to be part of FFRP.
Of course.
Because you can be a former lifer.
Of course.
Right? Yeah.
I'm the only former lifer. One of my firefighter one, I believe, Brown, he's a former lifer as well. And, the great thing about it is, like, we as lifers, not only do we have the lowest recidivism rate,
right,
but we appreciate freedom on like a whole nother level.
Boy, do we.
Yeah. You see me smiling. It's because like everything makes me happy. There is not one thing that keeps me down. And it's because of the great appreciation for life.
I see that in you. Right when you walked in, you were all smiles. Sitting in here, you were all smiles. The lights, you were like, whoa, the blue lights,
This place is amazing. And I'm grateful to help impact anybody, to give them hope. That's one thing I say is, like, you wake up with air in your lungs, you got hope.
Yeah, for sure. So your work with FFRP and your work in treatment, and then your experience that you've had in life, how does that all intersect?
The advice I'm willing to give, the help I'm willing to give. I just went up and picked up a brother of mine that just paroled. I visited the same prison that I paroled from.
Wow.
I have no problem in going right back into the lion's den for the right reasons. I'm there for the right reasons. I went back to county to get resentenced by the same judge. These are things that you can't do if you're not like really being a beacon of light. Yeah. And I'm not trying to brag. I just know that my schedule while I was incarcerated was impossible to mimic. Nowadays, there's so much technology, they won't allow you to overlap your schedules. Yeah. I was going from college to group, back to work to college. My full-time schedule, and still to this day, it's like after this, I go to a doctor's appointment and then I go to work. It's like for me, I have there's no break. For me, I have to overachieve. Like where I'm going to work, I'm going to work close to Lake Isabella. So I'm going to go up there and on Sunday, my thing is a road trip to go look at the area I'm going to be working in. I'm having to be responsible, and I enjoy it because I have the time every day to be responsible. Every day, I've learned from other people. The wisdom other people have, I learn from that. Mistakes other people make, I try not to make those.
Let's talk about that wisdom that you have, that innate wisdom, right? Because I'm reading in your bio that you completed 5 associate degrees while you were in prison. Where does that energy come from?
That energy comes
that
from...
is a lot of freaking associate degrees in prison.
Yeah.
It's from me having, I always tell myself, if there's something you have to do, that's what you got to do. And for me, it was to stay in college, learn and earn as much as I could possibly do with the amount of time I had. My favorite professor was Professor Griffin in anthropology. And he was the toughest of all the professors. And it's because of the way he taught. Like, he was the Mario Andretti of speaking, and you had to be on your A game when you came into his class. Every one of my professors, I learned Latin. I learned a bunch of different things that I enjoyed. I took all the classes that I had taken previously prior to being incarcerated, took them all over again. I'm going to go and learn something new from the same classes I took, because I was in college when I got arrested. And I don't know if you know about college on the streets, but you're pretty much not there. You're kind of partying more than you are learning.
Right. Yeah.
Only not when you're 55. So
That's a different story. That's when you're going back for the real
That's when your heart's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I learned, and I started to get addicted to the college type of life where you're learning. I mean, I had classes I failed. Like, I took statistics and I failed, and I had to go back for another round of that. Not easy. So there's, you have to learn what your strengths and weaknesses are. And from college, putting in that time, great professors that, made you want to learn. I remember to this day the professors that inspired me. And for me, that's, what made me come back for more. I wanted to get that next degree in another course that I had interest in. While I have that time, why not? Why not get it? And I had plenty of time. My employers, I had worked for sergeants and lieutenants and captains. I was able to still do my job wherever I was at. If I volunteered in the gym, they let me in whenever I got off class. There was just so much that when they see you're doing the right thing and you're on the right path, a lot of people give you that leeway and give you that more freedom than the average inmate. Yeah. And that's something you have to earn. They don't just give that to you. I mean, I got tested to see if, I was really on the right track. There was a really, first day at like a lower level, the level 2, they tested me. You're not allowed to take food out of the chow hall. And, they put a couple of eggs in my back pocket and patted me down, and they said, "Where did you get these eggs?" And I said, "I don't know, sir. I didn't put them there." Mm-hmm. And they're like, "You sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I did not put them there." And it was like to see if I would act up. They test you.
Oh, to see
if you're going to be like,
egg in the back pocket tree.
It's not the banana in the tailpipe, it's the egg in the back pocket.
Yeah, they do
Anything
test
to get you written up.
They do.
Oh, to see if you would like lose your shit in that moment.
And they surrounded me. Yeah. They had all of the guards around me. They're like, "All right, this guy just rolled up from, he's got life." They check your file. They know who you are. And if you're like the last guy in the chow hall eating, they're going to be like, "Oh, this guy thinks he can just do whatever he wants." Well, we're going to test him today.
Oh my God.
But that's just the guards that test you too.
Yeah.
It's our
That's
peers.
Yeah.
Our peers test us too.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we're always being tested by the system and each other, right? So
Wow. And I mean, that would be super hard, I would think, not being inside before, to keep it together when someone's basically saying you're lying.
Oh, I think after so much time and working down from level to level, and obviously the type of COs that you're around start to get a little more relaxed, and then you got the ones that are just gung-ho wherever they go.
Yeah.
And that's cool because that's who they are. You don't want to ever change anybody who they are, but you definitely want to know who you're around.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see their appearance if they got their sleeves all rolled up and they're showing off their guns. It's like these guys probably
situational awareness.
Yeah. Yeah, keep your situational awareness. We call it the SA. Keep your SA up at all times, and you won't get caught slipping.
You talk a lot about education and employment, and I'm wondering, what are your thoughts about how those two sort of impact healing, your healing?
Well, my healing has come from putting all of my effort into being the best version of myself. Obviously through recovery, being clean and sober, number one. So I'm really, we got one of these. One of the crew members made an FFRP banner.
Oh,
It was kind of for Christmas time. It was kind of a really nice thing, but we all chipped in and we all, thanked all the overhead and anybody that was, working with us. And we like to appreciate those that are putting in the effort to help us be a better person. Everybody gets paid, but I think there's a lot of things you do. It's called OT and it's not overtime. It's called own time. That's one of the things I learned. OT doesn't always mean overtime.
It means own time, like your own time?
Yeah, your own time.
Oh.
You're putting forth that effort to help somebody on your own time. And that's one of the things I was going to say is so many people have helped me along the way and sacrificed their OT to give me the time. And I'm going to be honest. Sophie in this room has put a lot of OT in on my part. She, when I first started, she was like my liaison for this FFRP, and I needed inspiration. I needed that little bit of push and that nudge, and she was the supportiveness that came from her was I couldn't ask for a better support system because we don't know each other very much. We were strangers in life, but that's one of the things is so me and education and employment have revolved around all the amazing people that have encountered, my life and made such an impact that I have to pay it forward. I have to be on my A game and give it my all to those, that really have like this opportunity right here, no brainer. Yeah. When she brought it up, I was like, oh my God, I would love to do this. This is something I've really dreamed of thanking all the people that have made the impacts in my life.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be who I am without FFRP because this is a new pathway in life that most dream of, but don't know the road and how hard it this is not an easy road. Mm-hmm. It's not even started in my opinion. It really hasn't. When I go my start date for BLM, that's when I feel like, my first day in life. First day at school.
BLM?
Yeah.
Talk about what is BLM?
Okay, so there's a couple different BLMs, but this one's a Bureau of Land Management.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is that a federal agency?
It's a federal agency. So the fact that they give second chances, like myself, to felons, I am amazingly grateful for this opportunity. And I won't let them down. I interviewed. This is one of the things we have a chief Bracey, who's our logistics officer, and he sends us weekly reports on opportunities in the wildland firefighting industry. And one of the things he does is he takes us to hiring events. So we went up to Northridge. We went up to CSUN. This is where my life changed. We go in there. You download the app, you submit all your certificates, anything else you want to put in there, and then you wait for your interview. And I interviewed with a gentleman that says, I've interviewed like 200 guys. I'm gonna write your name down. You're one of 3 guys I want hired. Wow. And I said, wow. Like that to me, like I don't have experience. I don't have the type of years in fire that most people have that are really savvy in this world. Mm-hmm. I had my interview game. I had the knowledge that I've gotten from FFRP. Mm-hmm. The answers, he said, are spot on. That's what I want in my crew. He was a district hiring officer. He gave me the rundown of the places that he covers. And I said, well, I'll take any of them. Wherever you need me, that's where I'll be. Yeah. And, for me, the rest was history. I was on it. I got a tentative job offer, and I started the employment process with them as far as getting a physical, doing a drug screening. And from then on, it's like we've been in contact. He's like, hey, I need you to get this certification. So I get, defensive driving certification, different certs for different reasons, but all of it is through the federal government. And that is one thing, I'm about to go take my photo. That's where it starts to get real. You're going to go take your photo for your badge, and they're going to give you, employment card that you you slide in when you go to the government building.
Yeah. I mean, think about that for a second. And we were talking about this earlier, right? You are working for the federal government as a former lifer. Did you ever think in a million years when you were incarcerated that you would actually come out and work for the federal government?
Not only does that just give me chills thinking about it, but it definitely is something I never predicted.
It's a hell of an accomplishment, man.
It's really driving so hard and not ever looking back, not giving up, knowing that I'm not the best at everything, but I'm going to give it my all no matter what I do. And this happens to be such a honorable thing to do. And it gives me hope. And I tell people what I do, and they're just like, oh my God, that's great. Oh my God. I have support from anybody and everybody that I meet. And when I have, I try not to wear this too often, because it just, the public, when they see you in your fire uniform, they get a little over dramatic about it. Like, oh, thank you for your service. Oh my God, are you a firefighter? Yeah, I'm training. I'm in the academy. And I'm such an amazingly grateful person that this is something I promote. I let everybody know you can do it too. Doesn't matter what your background is. I'm always given that, hey, go to this FFRP website and start your application. Get the ball rolling. You won't ever be, wondering if you made the right decision.
That is so powerful. And I wonder, you're so, just when I think about, being white, coming from Malibu, you're so humble. You have such a humble heart. And I'm thinking about all the folks who may have been lifers also that didn't have an opportunity.
The support system.
Yeah. So is that what you would suggest?
My mother, I told her that when I win an Oscar, I'm going to thank her by name. not the thank you, Mom. I want to thank my mom, because everybody's got a mom.
Right.
She's like, you got to thank me by name. I said, okay. So I have to thank Diane Covington. That right there is the woman that, she was a single mother. Me and her lived together for a brief time before she met my amazingly great stepdad that I continue to call Dad. I call him Pop. Mm-hmm. And, so they visited me every single weekend.
Wow.
I don't know if you know that for the amount of time I was down, the visits go into the thousands.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was recorded when I went to my reduction of sentencing. The judge was like, I don't think my mother would have done that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Every single weekend. That's incredible.
I have a support system now. I have just amazing people in my life that I can't continue to thank them. I can't stop thanking them, because they are they're the beacon of my life. They have this amazing aura that maybe I'm the only one who can see, but they're beautiful people, and I thank them as much as I can, because they continue to support me emotionally in any kind of way possible. And that's, for me, is why I'm who I am. I'm grateful. I'm thankful for my life and how I've gotten to this point.
That's so beautiful. Norma, Norma?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Norma was on season 1 of Our Stories Matter, and she's one of my closest friends. She is a former lifer. And I asked her, what was it? What was it that kept you going? And she said something similar. It was her high school friends and her family kept visiting. That kept her going.
Yeah.
It's, the power of relationships, right?
Before I got into recovery, my mother was, there's a really small story, but it's the fact that when you're in your addiction, you feel like you can close out the world, and you just want to be alone with your addiction.
Yeah.
And one day a lady came to my cell door that looked like my mother, same name as my mother. And I thought it was my mother. And I wasn't loaded. I wasn't high. I was waiting on a fix. And this lady she was from the church. We were on lockdown. I thought that there was no way anybody was going to be able to get to my door. But for me, that was my mother. They met each other like a couple weeks later at a reentry roundtable, and the lady was sitting right next to my mother. They dressed identical. Whoa. So for me, those are the types of stories that like you can't write, you can't predict. Right. And for me, that was like the lady told my mom, "Your son's going to be fine. He sees the light. He's ready to roll. He's got his life on track, and he's going to make that progress in life that you won't be able to see."
Yeah, so stories like that are so important to me because I do believe wholeheartedly in like universal signs. Like the universe is always going to put something in front of you, and if we have the ability to see it, we'll go with it, right? And exactly. I think that at that moment, I think those are universal things. How do you work? So you stay so busy.
Yeah.
I'm amazed by.
I started that way. I'm going to end that way.
Right. But what do you do for self-care? Because I see people stay busy all the time, and I stay busy all the time. I teach, I write, I'm always doing community work. I'm on the go all the time. But I have to know how to take good care of myself because I worry about burnout. It's happened to me where it's like I disassociate from the world because I have no more to give.
Yeah.
And so I have to take good care of myself. What do you do for self-care?
My self-care.
And how do we promote that for other folks coming home from prison?
Is take time and breathe, meditate. I live by a huge body of water, and I get to see that. And bodies of water really kind of calm me down. They let me know kind of how big this world really is and how small we are. But to me, it's always been kind of a part of me. I relax in my space. The same way I calm down in prison is the same way I calm down out here. I listen to music and I laugh. I watch movies. I go to the gym. I take a jacuzzi. These are things in life you just have to treat yourself. You have to treat yourself to ice cream.
It's interesting that you bring that up because it's kind of segues into how do you see employment as healing?
So for me, just like I dissolved into characters with acting, I dissolve into my career with my crew. Recently, we went up to Crestline and we dug out people that were buried with snow.
Wow.
And helping people, like this was a different type of fire. This was snow, which the only people that were up there were wildland firefighters, and we're using our fire tools.
Wow.
So for me, the healing comes from helping others. And my employment in the future, not just with FFRP and, my career in this government, this is like, for me, it's like the way that I see myself healing from my past. I might have made mistakes in the past, but this is how I'm showing the world, and not only myself, but the world is, you can change and you can do great things in life. One mistake in life does not make you the person that you were when you were 19, 20.
Yeah.
That's not the person you were. You have this life, and it's really what you do with your life from this point forward. Getting hung up on the past is not something I've ever been really too much a fan of. I don't forget it, but I move past it. This is my new life is being in a much more fulfilling way and giving back. Giving back to the community, helping save other lives, structures, the forest. This is how I give back, and this is my healing. I didn't realize it, but some trees smell like butterscotch. And I learned that.
What?
Yeah, I learned that, there's
This is like a
trees.
thing?
What do you mean? You mean like the Ponderosa pines up
Is this
there?
an analogy or is this true?
No,
real.
it's true. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you say butterscotch. I learned it as like vanilla pine.
Well, for me, it smells like butterscotch.
Yeah. So
Everybody's got to do it.
Exactly.
So,
Wow.
And I get such an amazing fulfillment out of the view after what I've accomplished. The view is sometimes how we're actually paid.
Oh.
So you can get paid in views, and I used to say I get paid in smiles, but now I get paid in views.
Wow.
So now it's like, we have this inner fulfillment, and it's coming from being a positive member of society, and doesn't matter what we did in the past. It matters who we are right now.
Yes.
that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. And so, how would you, in terms of giving advice to other people, that are incarcerated, coming out into society, what kind of advice would you be able to give them on how to follow the path that you're gone through?
Well, I would say educate yourself. Find out what you are interested in to learn. I would try to be as healthy as I can, mind, body, and soul. Figure out what that means to you. Give yourself a break. Whatever you did, that doesn't mean that's what you're doing now. And learn from your mistakes. Don't repeat them. And be patient with others, because some people aren't on the same path that you are. They might still be knuckleheads. Doesn't mean you have to be a knucklehead, but understand that there's people out there that still need help, still haven't figured it out yet. But if you have, show them, lead by example. And when you get out, there's hope. And it's how bad do you want what you want? Do you want your dream to come true? And sometimes your dream might not be your actual dream. You might go down that road. The pathway in life is not straight. It's like this, you got to go way over here to come back over here and go, and you're just always on this pathway, and there's no wrong way as long as you're doing what you love. That's just that's my belief, and I've seen the progress that I've been able to make as a result of just following my passion, following what it is my heart tells me to do.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
It's beautiful. And I think, I'll go back to first season, Heidi De Leon, who's part of Unchained Scholar. She's an Unchained Scholar alumni. Okay, so I'm just doing the context. So she talked about the importance. She wishes that there was case managers instead of parole officers, because when she got out, she's like, what the hell am I supposed to do? She didn't know about education. Her parents weren't alive. She didn't have any family. And so there was no linkage. And so how do you link, like as you were talking about, all the relationships are the most important thing. And we're wired to be in a relationship. So how can someone sort of link up if they don't have like maybe the support system?
Yeah.
That is a really good question. I want to say that we're lucky that technology is so amazing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of organizations that are helping more and more, and Homeboy Industries is one of them.
Yeah.
I've heard about it my whole life while incarcerated.
Oh, you heard about Homeboys when you were inside.
This is legendary.
Yeah.
You guys are legendary. And I want, them to know, everybody to know that there are so many people out there willing to help, but you have to be willing to make that effort.
Yeah.
You have to sacrifice riding the bus if you got to ride the bus. If you don't have a car,
So true.
there's transportation, and you have to be willing. Like I cleaned toilets in prison. I was a porter.
Yeah.
That's that humbling experience, and going from, learning what it is I've done before. Is that beneath me? Am I still the same person? Have I made it to a level where I can't do that? It's like, no, I still do that. I have I have to do that for my own toilet, you know? So for me, it's like you have to be willing to make those sacrifices, humble yourself, and be willing to ask for help.
Right.
Yeah.
If you can't ask for help,
Yeah.
you can't get anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I had to ask for help with FFRP.
Yeah.
Hey, will you guys give me a chance?
Yeah.
I might not be the youngest guy, you know, and I might not be the strongest guy, but I am going to be the most consistent guy. I've learned that you have to show up and you have to be on time. You have to be early. Those are things you have to learn. You have to learn.
I love that because you role model that. Again, I work with a lot of folks coming home from prison, and one, they don't know how to ask for help, and also they don't know how to accept the help when you offer it to them. And I think that's a huge thing that folks like us who've been in prison, who've come home, who are succeeding or trying to succeed, we know how to accept help, which is not the easiest thing to do, right? So I love that you're role modeling that.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah, this is a great life if you're willing to live it and really give it back.
Yeah.
Let other people know, hey, if you need help, ask me. If I don't have the answer, I'll direct you somewhere else to the person I know does.
You know, Tyler, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on our show today, and I've learned so much just about, you know, the human spirit, and you exude that, you know, and I just want to commend you on all your efforts and all the achievements that you're going through, and congratulations on getting that badge, man.
Thank you.
That's an honor, you know, that I know that's going to be felt by you for a long time to come.
You know,
So with that, what was it like today to tell your story?
I mean, I told you I got the chills several times, and this is one of those things. I hope that people hear this, that need that hope, need that nudge, the push to get their ass in gear, or to let them know that, hey, ask for help. Ask for help. People are out here that want to do that have, you know, been helped themselves. Now they're ready to help others. And that's what I want. I want everybody to know that, you know, this is an amazing world, and there's a lot of amazing people in it. And I'm in a room full of them. So for me, I'm grateful, and just, you know, reach out. You know, the technology is so accessible where you can reach out to people just by a couple touch of the little texting or whatever, you know? So yeah, I want that to know is just like, you know, reach out to someone, and it might not be the first person you reach out to, but continue, you know, that positive pathway in life, and you'll find what it is you're looking for.
Thank you so much for sharing your humble heartbeat.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Our Stories Matter is brought to you by Trauma Informed Los Angeles. We want to thank Homeboy Industries and the Forestry and Fire Recruitment Program for sharing their experiences and opening their doors and hearts to us. Thank you also to Fabian Deborah for allowing us to record at Homeboy's Art Academy. Thank you also to the University of Southern California Good Neighbors, and thank you to Yehuda Price for composing our original music while incarcerated. Thank you, Ivan Reyes, our amazing editor. Please consider giving us a review with a 5-star shout out. Subscribe to Our Stories Matter wherever you get your podcasts. Join our trauma-informed Los Angeles community at traumainformedla.org. Please go to our website to read the full bios and credits. Join us next week and stay tuned for more Our Stories Matter.
We would like to take a moment to acknowledge the original stewards of the land where our event takes place today. Trauma Informed Los Angeles acknowledges the Gabrielino Tongva people as the traditional land caretakers of the Tavangar, which today is the Los Angeles Basin and Channel Islands. We are committed to uplifting the names and community members of these lands and across the nation who reside alongside us. We also want to acknowledge the suffering and forced unpaid labor of enslaved Africans and African Americans, which enabled the start of this country.